Democrats also failed to extend the eviction moratorium. Now, you might be asking what that is, and basically what it was is that there was a kind of a policy put in place from the federal level that was saying, hey, look, you know what, because of the lockdowns, because of the economy, because of the things that took place in the last year, no one's allowed to evict anybody from their home, apartment, or anything else that's behind on their payments, okay? Because a lot of people were out of work, weren't able to work, or maybe some of those people were just taking advantage of the massive unemployment at the time. So they probably weren't paying their rent whatsoever either. But the thing is that it was keeping people from being evicted. Now, Democrats have failed. They have failed to actually extend that, and now people are presumably probably going to start getting evicted already. Now, this was just from last week, so this was already pretty much taking place. So the Democrats don't have anyone to blame here. I mean, who are they going to blame? Oh, well, if we had control of the Senate, well, you guys basically have control of the Senate. If we had control of the House, well, you have control of the House. Biden's in the White House. So what's the excuse? Here's AOC saying as much.
Well, I think there's a couple of issues here. First of all, you are absolutely correct in that the House and House leadership had the opportunity to vote to extend the moratorium. And there was frankly a handful of conservative Democrats in the House that threatened to get on planes rather than hold this vote. And we have to really just call a spade a spade. We cannot, in good faith, blame the Republican Party when House Democrats have a majority. Now, there is something to be said for the fact that this court order came down on the White House a month ago, and the White House waited until the day before the House adjourned to release a statement asking on Congress to extend the moratorium. This came after weeks. I sit on the Financial Services Committee, which has jurisdiction over housing. We had, the housing secretary there asking about the administration's stance. We asked the Biden administration about their stance, and they were not being really forthright about that advocacy and that request until the day before the House adjourned. And so the House was put into I believe, a needlessly difficult situation. And it's not just me saying that. Financial Services Chairwoman Maxine Waters has made that very clear as well. And so there's a couple of contributing factors here. We have governors who are also not getting this emergency rental assistance out in time, which is forcing this extension, what we would like an extension of the moratorium. The fact of the matter is that the problem is here. The House should reconvene and call this vote and extend the moratorium.
The thing is right now is that all of the blue states are ready to shut down again. I mean, they haven't announced it yet, but keep a close eye on what's going on, folks, because once again, this Delta variant is going to be used to clamp down even further. Which, by the way, just some quick notes on the Delta variant before I kind of go on from this, is just that keep in mind, this is going to, by nature of the way that viruses mutate, not going to be as effective. It'll be more infectious, but it won't be as dangerous as the initial COVID virus. That's how these variations go. So, that's the only way that we can really look at this at this point. But they're going to use this regardless. Even so what we're really going to actually see is the cases are going to go up really high. But deaths are not going to rise in tandem with those, okay? Because it's going to be less deadly, just by the nature of mutation. But they're going to use that regardless, and they're going to focus on what's going to give them the validation to shut down states, to shut down businesses again, to implement mask mandates and whatever they need to do all over again. And they're going to probably focus on case count. They're probably going to ignore the deaths, so watch out for that on the news as well. But this is the problem that Democrats have created themselves. It's one that they could have fixed, but they didn't. Now, I don't think that there should have been an eviction moratorium. Anyways, my thought is open up the states, open up the schools, shut off the unemployment, get people back into work, force them back into work so that we can go back to where we were. But as a result of that, this is what's happening right now. So, by the way, who is this affecting? About 6 million Americans, by the way, are faced with homelessness at this point because they didn't extend this. So right now, there are 2 million homeowners that are behind on mortgages and 6 million renters that are behind on rent payments. All because maybe some of them are lazy, maybe it's because some of them are just collecting unemployment and they don't care. A lot of it might also be because of the fact that there's no jobs available or the economy is really not that great. It hasn't recovered as well as it should have. Maybe they don't have an incentive to work because the government hasn't created an incentive to work. Maybe they're waiting on that next stimulus check. It's hard to really say, but the point is that These are people that are actually going to be affected by this. Meanwhile, what are the Democrats going to do? Tell you to lock down again? Tell you to close your business again? Meanwhile, they can't even extend this moratorium as it is? It's their own problems. They created the problem. They're trying to go back into more problems. Meanwhile, this is an issue they still haven't fixed. So, it's just another issue where Democrats have failed miserably. And a lot of people don't realize this. So, by the way, Nancy Pelosi's home. A bunch of protesters actually showed up there and taped an eviction notice to her door as well as a result of this. Because even normal people realize that this was a failure from the Democrats. That's who this is. There's no reason to try to tape that on a Republican's door because they're not the ones responsible for this. It could have gotten passed, and they didn't. They didn't do anything about it. So about 40 activists arrived at Pelosi's San Francisco home on Saturday, just hours before the moratorium's last extension expired, leaving more than 2 million Americans facing the prospect of being told to leave their home. And a bunch of people went there to protest and, just tape an eviction notice to their door and say, hey, look, this is how it feels. This is what can happen to us. So, once again, is it because of just unemployment? They're just collecting that, or is it because of laziness? It's hard to really exactly say, but it's still a problem that was created by Democrats that's continuing to be the case by Democrats. And if they ever want to tell people what to do for this Delta variant, they're going to have to fix stuff like this as well. It's just a kind of a circular problem that they can never get themselves out of. You just watched a clip from The William Hall Show. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe.